Ragged Billionaire. Chapter 1. That call started my revenge. Yo, D, line 2's buzzin'. Darius Cole yanked the buzzing landline off its cradle, rain smacking the tin roof of his shotgun house in Baton Rouge like a drummer on double time. The smell of wet magnolias drifted through the busted screen door. Cole speaking. A slick voice answered, syrup sweet but icy. Mr. Cole, this is Curtis Green, new floor manager at your Riverfront Soul Fuel. Just wanted to confirm tomorrow's meet and greet with the, owners. Darius clocked the hesitation. Curtis didn't know he was talking to the owner. Perfect. Yeah, I'll be there bright and early, Darius said, forcing a scratch into his tone. Good. Make sure your delivery guy uses the back alley. Public entrance is for guests, not help. Line clicked dead. Darius stared at the receiver like it just cussed out his mama. One phone call and every suspicion about that restaurant came roaring back. Folks he hired to serve oxtails with a smile were treating people like trash the second nobody important was watching. Time to pull the mask off this circus. He grabbed his daddy's army duffel, flung in a ragged LSU t-shirt, faded jeans, and boots so beat up they'd make a scarecrow blush. Then he caught his reflection in the cracked bathroom mirror. Gray creeping into his beard, eyes sharp as broken glass. Revenge ain't always loud, son, he muttered to himself. Sometimes it strolls in smelling like old motor oil. A battered '98 Ford Ranger, paint peeling like sunburn, waited out front. Engine coughed awake and the radio spat static until a blues station cut through. Slide guitar. Heartache. Weathered soul. Darius tapped the steering wheel, thinking of Mama's favorite proverb. If the fish rots at the head, put the head on ice and watch who cries. He smirked. Tomorrow a whole lot of folks were gonna be sniffling. Halfway across town, the sky cracked open. Sheets of rain hammered the windshield, wipers squealing like bad sacks. At a red light, Darius spotted a couple under a bus stop awning. Young, holding each other tight, laughing even as thunder rattled the street. Warm throb hit his chest. He wasn't some stone-cold avenger. He was a man who'd busted his back so people like them could afford a plate of hot gumbo after payday. Nobody, especially not a smug floor manager, was gonna poison that dream. He turned onto Riverfront Drive. The restaurant's neon sign glowed through the downpour, colors bleeding into puddles on cracked asphalt. Inside the window he saw silhouettes, servers polishing silverware, cooks flipping cornbread, Curtis pacing like a rooster who thought he owned the barnyard. Darius chuckled. Keep strutting, big man. Sunrise is coming. Truck idled beside the loading dock. He cut the engine and killed the headlights. Only the rain had a voice now. Lightning popped, revealing the empty alley, greasy dumpsters. Steam rising off wet pavement like ghost breath. Perfect place for a little theater. Darius leaned back, letting the cab fog up, mind racing. He pictured Miss Lena, assistant manager at his flagship joint, singing along to Old Al Green while closing out the register, treating dishwashers like cousins. Good people deserved better bosses. Bad bosses deserved a lesson. Phone buzzed again, text from his CPA. Board approves expansion to Atlanta. Congrats, Big D. He laughed under his breath. Tomorrow he'd be hauling sacks of collards like a broke driver, and the day after closing a multi-million-dollar deal. Life's funny that way. He shut the phone, cracked the window, and let the rain mist his face. Heartbeat slowed like a fighter before the bell. Revenge. Nah. Justice, seasoned with a little showmanship. And maybe, if the night went right, a spark of something sweeter with Miss Lena, who had no idea he was rolling back into her life. "All right, Baton Rouge," he whispered, gripping the wheel again. "Let's see who's real when the lights come on." He eased the truck into gear and disappeared into the storm, headlights cutting a single bright lane through the dark, straight toward the showdown that call had promised. Chapter 2. Kitchen heat and cold heart's dawn slid over the Mississippi like honey on hot cornbread, but inside riverfront soul fuel the mood felt ice cold. Darius parked the battered Ranger behind the dumpsters, engine coughing a last complaint. He slipped on a faded Saints cap, tugged his collar up, and hauled the first crate of collard greens toward the back door. Grease from last night's fry fest slicked the concrete. He nearly busted his butt, caught himself, then chuckled. "Devil stay busy," he murmured, quoting his granddad, "but the Lord gave me balance." Inside, prep cook Maya was banging pots like a one-woman brass band. Steam clouded the tiny kitchen windows, making sunrise look like pink graffiti. She spotted Darius and waved a knife the way folks wave howdy in the bayou, dangerously. "Back entrance, my guy. Try not to chip the tile with them prehistoric boots." Laugh in her throat. No harm intended, just hustle in her bloodstream. Curtis Green strutted in, shirt starched stiff as a Sunday usher's robe. He sniffed like someone slipped cayenne in his coffee. "You again?" "Thought I told the warehouse I wanted new produce, not new problems." He poked a collared leaf with a manicured finger, grimaced like it owed him money, then leaned close enough for Darius to count every pour. Unload, stack, vanish, quick math. Darius lowered the crate slow, voice flat. "Food's fresh. Eat your greens, you might grow a heart." A prep cook snickered. Curtis's cheeks puffed, but he let it ride, focusing instead on rehearsing his welcome owner speech in the walk-in cooler mirror. In the dining room, chandeliers flickered against tin ceilings, tossing gold light on mismatched picture frames. Louis Armstrong, Mahalia Jackson, Darius' late mama smiling by a crawfish boil. None of the staff noticed the photos. They scrolled their phones, complaining about yesterday's tips. Darius watched from the kitchen pass through, heart pinging. Folks had forgotten the stories on these walls. The soul in soul fuel felt on life support. Then came Miss Lena, sliding through the saloon doors like warm breeze. 52, hips that moved to invisible gospel, eyes soft enough to hush a crying baby. She clocked Darius, wiping sweat with his sleeve. "Sugar, you look like a busted faucet. Grab some water." She handed him a mason jar loaded with ice. "Crazy weather, right? Sky can't decide if it's preachin' or cussin'." "Appreciate you, ma'am," he said, voice rough to stay in character. Their fingers brushed, spark flashed like summer lightning. He caught it, pocketed it for later. In a corner booth, head server Tasha filmed a TikTok complaining to followers about raggedy delivery guys stinking up my section. Darius heard every word. He grinned under his cap. Clown show about to close early. An hour later, the kitchen hit rush prep. Steam hissed. Gumbo bubbled so loud it sounded like it had secrets. Maya dropped a whole tub of raw shrimp. They skittered across the floor like pink bugs. Curtis barked curses, then blamed the distracting delivery dude. Darius, cool as freezer air, knelt and scooped shrimp into a pan, whispering, "A river don't stop flowin' 'cause a snake slides in." Maya blinked, half smiling as if she'd just heard a backyard sermon. Curtis strutted off to the dining room and crashed straight into Miss Lena. She reminded him the mystery owner was due at 7 sharp. Asked if the welcome letter was printed. Curtis fake smiled. All handled, Auntie. He sauntered away before she could explain she wasn't his auntie. Miss Lena sighed, catching Darius's eye through the heat lamps. Lord, grant me patience. Or strong coffee. He raised his jar in silent toast. Near noon, thunder cracked again. Lights flickered, fryer oil spit like angry bees. Everyone froze. Darius reached the breaker box first, reset it, lights steadied. Curtis burst back in, panting like he'd sprinted a marathon of ego. Who messed with my power? Darius wiped his hands. Sometimes the house rattles to test its nails. Curtis blinked, didn't get it, stomped off to polish a non-existent badge. As lunch crowd rolled, tension thickened. Tasha slipped a wrong order, blamed the mud boot delivery dude for breathing too loud. Darius just whispered an old proverb his mama loved. The goat that mocks the lion only safe till the grass gets short. Tasha called him weird. He smiled wider. By 2:30, rain eased. Sunlight lanced through skylights, catching dust like glitter. Darius stacked the last crate, spine aching but spirit steady. He watched staff through the pass. Fake smiles for guests, side eyes for each other. Only Miss Lena's laugh rang genuine, warm as Sunday pie. He turned to leave, planting seeds of tomorrow's reckoning in every hallway he crossed. The kitchen smelled of cayenne and coming storm. He slipped outside, drizzle tickling his face, and spoke to the clouds like they were kin. Granddad said, best way to weigh a man's soul. Give him a little power and watch if he feeds the village or himself. Darius started the truck, engine rumbling low. Tomorrow we'll see who's been eating alone. And the wind carried his promise across the river, bending Spanish moss like it was bowing for the show about to start. Chapter 3. Rumors, ego, and a 7 p.m. showdown. By 5:30, the sun dipped behind the levee, painting the sky burnt orange, but inside riverfront soul fuel, the air felt thick as gumbo left on low. Word had leaked that the new owner would appear at 7 sharp, and every heartbeat in that place started tap dancing. Curtis paced the tile like a cat on hot foil, rehearsing his welcome speech to the mirrors. He practiced a grin that showed teeth but no kindness, then tried it again with jazz hands. Good evening, sir. Welcome to your humble establishment, he muttered, adding a wink he thought looked smooth. It looked more like a light bulb flickering out. Backline cooks swapped myths by the dish sink. One swore the owner was a retired NFL tight end with gold faucets and pet tigers. Another claimed he was an old lady from Shreveport who spoke only through lawyers. Every tale grew wilder than crawfish in June. Darius, still in ragged boots, hauled empty crates past the gossip like a ghost in plain sight. He listened, tucked each rumor in his pocket, and kept his grin buried under his cap. Miss Lena found him wiping sweat off the stainless prep table. Sugar, the clock's running faster than a Baptist choir. You okay? Her hand lingered on his forearm, just a blink longer than polite. Heat shot through him. Wasn't the fryer, wasn't the stove. He forced a chuckle. I'm gravy, ma'am. Just enjoying the free show. She raised one eyebrow. Show ain't started yet. He almost told her who would drop the curtain. Instead, he asked, You nervous? She sighed, smoothing her apron. Nerves? Baby, I passed nerves in '02 when my twins tried to set the toaster on fire. I'm just hoping this mystery boss got more heart than shine. Thunder mumbled outside, shaking window panes. The staff jumped. Curtis blamed a faulty hinge. Darius whispered a proverb his mama loved. Rain don't warn fields before it floods 'em. The dish boy blinked, then laughed because it sounded fancy. At 6, Tasha marched through the dining room spraying lavender mist so thick folks could taste flowers. "Ain't nobody sneezing in front of the owner," she said, eyes watering. Big Reggie dressed a plate of catfish 3 times, searching for that Instagram angle. Every clink and shuffle told Darius how scared they were of a man they'd never met. Yet none of that fear had shown up for the folks who cleaned floors or carried boxes. Curtis finally lined everyone up like middle school choir. Shirts tucked, aprons pressed, faces frozen in what he hoped was humility. He cleared his throat. Rule 1, smile but not too big. Rule 2, let me do the talking. Rule 3. The front door chimed. Everyone jerked like marionettes. It was only a delivery guy from the bakery, but the jolt left nerves rattling. Darius helped him stack baguettes, then whispered, "Watch the fireworks at 7, partner." The kid frowned. Darius just winked. 7:15, storm clouds rolled in thick as charcoal. Lightning sketched the river in brief silver lines. Over the thunder, Jazz FM drifted from the hostess stand, Coltrane blowing sweet but restless, same way Darius's heart rattled when Lena passed by humming harmony. Catching her eye, he saw hope and worry arm wrestling behind her smile. She didn't know it yet, but by night's end her kindness would pay compound interest. At 6:59, Curtis hustled everyone into the dining room. Chairs scraped, nerves squeaked louder. The chandeliers dimmed to a warm amber glow, throwing shadows that looked like gossip stretching across the walls. Darius lingered at the threshold, wiping imaginary dust from his boots. He inhaled kitchen spice, rain musk, perfume, fear, cocktail of truth about to be served neat. A single minute felt like 50. Tick, tick. And just before the clock struck 7, Darius stepped forward, tugged his cap low, and let the storm outside clap its hands for the drama inside. A hush fell so sharp it could slice okra. The showdown curtain was ready to rise, but only he knew the script. Moral murmured in the back of his mind like a preacher tuning up. "Whoever builds a throne on pride best check the legs, 'cause humility's saw keeps cutting even in the dark." Chapter 4. The mask drop. 7 o'clock struck and thunder clapped like a starter pistol. Everyone jerked toward the front doors, but nobody moved. Darius strolled in slow, water dripping from his saint's cap, boots squishing on the polished floor. Curtis stepped up, chest high. "Sir, staff meeting is closed to vendors." His plastic grin shook like jello. Darius tilted his head, rainwater sliding off the brim. "Thought this place welcomed anybody hungry for the truth." Tasha elbowed the hostess. "Why's Raggedy Boots talking like he owns the joint?" Laughter fluttered, nervous and thin. Miss Lena's eyes narrowed. Something in her gut whispered, "Hush and watch." Darius walked past Curtis and climbed the little stage the jazz bands used on Friday nights. Lightning flashed through tall windows, painting everybody in silver worry. He took off his cap, let the room get a good long look. Gasps popped like popcorn. Reggie muttered, "Sweet Lord, that's Mr. Cole." His voice cracked on the name. Curtis tried to clap, slow and shaky. "Mr. Cole, we didn't expect—" Darius raised a hand. Silence landed hard. Storm wind rattled the glass like dice in a cup. "I spent the day hauling boxes while some of y'all hauled attitude," he began. voice calm as river water but carrying rocks beneath. Heard folks call me trash, smelled more lavender spray than respect. Eyes darted floorward. But Miss Lena here handed me water and a smile like they were gold coins. He nodded to her. Color bloomed in her cheeks. Curtis cleared his throat. There's been a misunderstanding. Darius cut him off. Misunderstanding? Nah, man, I understood perfectly. Pride talks loud till humility pulls the mic cord. Laughter bubbled from a busboy in the back. Curtis shot him a death glare. Rain hammered the roof. Darius scanned the staff. I built soul fuel so neighbors could taste love with their catfish. Love don't come with side-eye seasoning. He pointed to Reggie. Kitchen wizard, keep stirring that gumbo, but stir in some grace. Reggie nodded so hard his chef hat wobbled. He turned to Tasha. Influencer, right? Next time you film, make sure the love's louder than the lavender. She swallowed, phone trembling in her hand. The chandelier light caught a tear she tried to blink away. Darius faced Curtis last. You got skills, brother, but power's like hot oil. Handle it wrong and everybody gets burned. Curtis shrank 2 inches. Starting tomorrow, you'll shadow Miss Lena. Learn management that lifts instead of stomps. Miss Lena's jaw dropped. Sir, Darius smiled soft. You led with heart when nobody was looking. That's the job description. Their eyes locked, a note of gospel humming between them. He set his cap on the piano. One more thing. My mama used to say one goat that butts every hand ends up eating alone. We're fixing the menu round here. Extra helpings of respect, seasoning of second chances. Anybody not hungry for that can clock out for good. Thunder rolled one last amen. Staff nodded, some sniffled, even the building seemed to breathe easier. Darius stepped off the stage, brushed Miss Lena's hand as he passed. Sparks again, warm, promising. Outside, the storm eased, leaving streets shiny as new shoes. And the folk in Baton Rouge told it like a porch story for years. The day a billionaire dressed like nobody walked through rain and fed a room full of proud souls the bitter herb of truth, then chased it with the sweet bread of mercy. Moral? Never judge a man by his boots nor a heart by its silence. Chapter 5. New Roots, Old Truths. Morning fog curled off the Mississippi like steam from a fresh bowl of grits, and riverfront soul fuel smelled different. A little less fear, a lot more promise. Darius rolled up in the same ragged Ranger, but this time folks greeted it like a parade float. Reggie was already sweeping the sidewalk, humming "People Get Ready." Tasha stuck her phone in her apron and hurried over, eyes soft. Mr. Cole, I baked apology muffins. She held up a tin that said sorry louder than any hashtag. He tasted one, nodded. Sweet, but try cutting the sugar. Pride's diabetic. Inside, Curtis stood at the hostess stand beside Miss Lena, clipboard in hand, starch long gone from his shoulders. He practiced a quiet, "Good morning, welcome home," like a man learning a new language. When Darius walked in, Curtis squared up, swallowed, then spoke it for real. The words landed steady. Darius clapped his arm. Stick with Lena, you'll be fluent in heart by Easter. Miss Lena guided Darius to the corner booth under Mama Cole's photo. Brought coffee so strong it could bench press. Sunlight spilled through the window, making dust motes dance like tiny saints. She sat across from him, palms flat on formica. Place feels lighter, she said. Funny what truth can do. He studied her smile, warm enough to melt the ice in his past. Truth's just seed, he answered. Takes good soil to grow. Her cheeks colored. Soil had never felt so seen. At 11 sharp, they opened the doors for a community brunch. Free plates for anyone who walked in hungry. Church folks filed in beside construction crews. Little kids craned necks at the chandeliers. Tasha live-streamed, but this time her caption read, "Serving love, y'all pull up." Reggie carved brisket with a grin so wide folks tipped just to watch him slice. An elderly woman shuffled to the counter, purse rattling with pills. Curtis offered his arm, guided her to a seat, and slipped 2 extra cornbread muffins in her bag for later. Miss Lena caught the act, flicked Darius a look that said, "See? He's learning." Darius raised his mug in salute. Near closing, thunder grumbled again, softer, like the sky clearing its throat to bless the change. Staff gathered by the stage. Darius climbed up, not as undercover boss, just as man with a lesson. He cleared his throat. "My granddad told a story about a tree that looked weak till a storm showed its roots. Last night y'all found your roots. Keep watering 'em," he turned to Miss Lena, "and every garden needs a steady gardener." Her eyes shimmered. Church bells across town chimed as if co-signing. Reggie yelled, "Speech, Miss Lena." She blushed, waved them off, then spoke anyway. "Only thing we gotta serve hotter than our gumbo is our kindness. Let's keep the stove on." Applause thundered louder than last night's storm. Doors finally closed, tips counted, floors mopped. Darius and Lena lingered by the jukebox. He slid in a quarter. Al Green's voice poured out smooth as cane syrup. He offered his hand, sheepish. "Mind a slow dance 'fore I go?" She laid her palm in his. "Long as you promise no more secret identities." They swayed between tables, laughter in their breath, history in their steps. Outside, the river rolled on, carrying word downstream. The place where respect got served alongside catfish, where a billionaire in busted boots proved that titles don't feed souls. Love does. And the moral etched itself into Baton Rouge lore like initials in wet cement. Judge a heart by how it treats the smallest hands, 'cause the smallest hands might just lift giants. Some nights later, folks still swore the neon sign glowed a shade brighter, like soul fuel itself smiled. Maybe it did. After all, buildings remember.